There's that they don't let their silence speak. You know what I mean? If you with me, the way I move, my silence speaks more than what I say. Like people can look at me and they see what I do versus more than what I say.
Right.
It's not, don't get me wrong, there are some cats out here, there's different models of how people slice the pie where they do talk and they can back it up. With me, I like to let my silence speak for itself.
I've been through so much in business, and, from lawsuits, from, losing the business, from so many different things, right? But one of my takeaways that I've learned throughout my journey in business and finance was you can't fall in love with your business. You have to look at money really differently, because to me, money is an energy, right? Like you're the cause and money is the effect. You see what I'm saying? Like you're the cause, your actions and how you're moving is the cause of the effect of
money.
Of abundance pouring your way. You know what I mean?
Yes, indeed.
Of all the abundance that you're always, you're surrounded by. So, I love the movement like it's 88.
A lot of people come and they say, what's like it's 88? That's a key question, because everything I say is like it's 88. But I have to let them know when they talk to me behind closed doors, I let them know it's the state of mind. It's not the year per se 1988, but it's what I did in that time frame. I was living my best life. That's the movement of silence and being aware is actually how I got to where I transitioned from resigning from my company to running my own business.
Yes.
Because I used to do a lot of saying I want to do this and saying I want to do that, but when I did that, it didn't come to fruition because I was trying to put too much emphasis because I said it. But when I started moving silent and things started happening organic, where people could look at my body language, look at the things that I do, and that's what attracted them to me, or vice versa. And then next thing you know, we fused and we marinate. Next thing you know, I got a relationship, a business relationship, a new personal relationship. And I moved like that, but my silence spoke more than my words. As we look at these different years, we try to change to match what's going on in our lifetime now. The years is going on.
Try to
social media.
Exactly.
Where
keep up with the Joneses.
Where I decided, I said, well, you know what? Instead of me trying to do that, let me try to live out, make my life the best life it could be.
Yeah.
And what is that? What defines that, right? What defines that life for me? So now, instead of me, like I say, looking for some type of relationship, whether it's personal, whether it's business, any of those things, I let those things happen organically. I let my spirit speak for itself, right?
Exactly.
And to this day, with my business, and we'll get into this, but with my business, I have never had to advertise at all. Everything I've done has been word of mouth, and I've been in business now since 2015.
Yeah.
Nothing I've had to do where I've tried to force something. You know what I mean? So, because I feel like when I try to force stuff, it just don't work.
It don't work. Sales force is out of alignment. And I love that you say you move in silence. It's one thing that I always admire by you is your ambition and your persistence, and you're honorable. The sky's the limit with you. The sky's the limit with me.
And one thing I want to bring up is you probably gonna be surprised. Your father. Your father was a big inspiration in this story and how he came up in the artistry world.
Right.
He was a big inspiration when I used to come over your house. And, when I would be in your father's y'all basement and looking at his work, and he was very inspiring. And it was one of those things where your dad, he built his empire.
Right.
And he used his own creativity, and he let his silence speak for itself.
Yeah.
He let his work speak for itself. He didn't, have to go out here, and he didn't have the media platforms that we have now, and he was able to make himself a success. So he was definitely a big inspiration in my life. But the one thing that from a spiritual side that really helped me was, I'm a Christian, born again Christian. But I started reading books, spiritual books. It's a guy by the name of Anthony DeMello.
Okay.
And he makes books they're short stories, but they're spiritual in nature. But you can use the stories in a practical sense. And the stories were offered by many people of I would say wise men of old, like Socrates, Lao Tzu, Confucius, Jesus, Muhammad. But the one thing I liked about the story was that when I read each story, you never knew who the author was of that story. You didn't know if it was Muhammad, you didn't know if it was Lao Tzu, you didn't know who it was, because the purpose of it wasn't to determine, well, it's Muhammad or it's Jesus. So from a spiritual standpoint, I was able to extract a lot of practical things from those books. No matter who those wise men were, the common result from any of them was, to be aware, how to learn how to move in silence, and experience everything yourself. Confucius said, those that say don't know, those that know don't say. Right? So the ones that say, they may be giving you somebody else's experience. Those who say don't know, those who know don't say, are the ones who do that. They let their silence speak for themselves.
Right.
It's like if you smell a rose, and you tell me what you're feeling or what you think the smell of that rose is, that's your experience, right? I can tell you my experience, but the smell of the rose comes from someone who experiences themselves. Words are just what you think. That's your understanding of it. I've traveled from all the way to Shanghai, China. I've been to South Africa, and I go over there and I learn and I adapt and I extract some of the customs and culture that I've experienced when I've been in those different countries.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah, and I apply them in my life. And one of the things that has also helped me, that inspired me to learn how to hustle, was when I would go to a country, I wouldn't just go to the iconic places. Everybody, wants to go to Johannesburg and wants to go to Cape Town and do all the shopping and stuff
Durban,
like that. When I went to Soweto, and that is one of the towns where the local people are living in poverty. Nelson Mandela, he has a home there that they now use as a museum. But these are areas where you have people who are living in homes without a roof. So it's a humbling experience. And I actually went into town in Soweto. I went to like a local, you remember the Florida Avenue Grill? So it's kind of like that in Soweto. I would go to local restaurants, and I'm talking to the people there, and I'm really getting an insight of how the people who actually were born and raised and live in Soweto. And I listened and talked with them and ate the food and stuff. And you just get a total different experience. These are things that help me out from and maybe more humble. And it also inspired me to when I have business ventures. That one of the things that has to be a condition of business that I get into is, aside from me having a passion for it, is I have to be able to give back. I want to be able to give to the less fortunate. All of us were born with a silver spoon in our mouth. You understand what I'm saying? So from my traveling, from reading, and just kind of lessons learned from my own mistakes that I've made. I'm not a perfect person. I've had bad relationships. I've been incarcerated. I wasn't the best son. So I'm
and I don't look at it as in you're not the perfect person, right? I just feel like we're all just living our human experience.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Everything is already written in the stars, already for us. Our life path is already designed. You were destined to be exactly where you are today. We live a very luxury lifestyle. We do. And it's some people feel like it's not reachable and attainable for them because, it's whatever current mindset that they're in. But sharing your story, sharing my story, and showing the world that, it's possible. I want people to understand how important as well money is to that, attaining those experiences in life that they yearn for and they wish for. They don't know the story on the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into actually getting to this level. You know what I mean? It's a lot of hardship. It's a lot of, hurt, pain, but yes. But yeah, I admire that. And I'm glad you mentioned the travel thing. That's very important. I'm like a bush woman, even though I'm very glamorous, sometimes. I
glamorous all the time.
Yeah.
I
have two sides of me. Yeah. I go into nature. I lived in Jamaica for 10 years. I lived in Tulum. I like very tropical places, and spirituality is very important to me. And I contribute all of my success to my lifestyle choices and my spirituality. What you pour into yourself is what's going to pour out. Because we don't chase, we attract. Just like you said, move in silence.
Well, I think one of the things that, for me, that kind of was the catalyst to me kind of going from working for someone to entrepreneurship was a simple word: pressure. We hear a lot of people use the word pressure, right? And what I did was, and it was this ironic, I went to, back in 2016, I went to Dubai with a few of my friends, and we just went there, it was our first time going.
Okay.
We went to a party where T Chainz was performing.
Okay.
And they cat and me and my boys, we got a table, but there was a young local kid there, and the kid couldn't have been no more than probably 16 or 17.
Okay.
And he had like a whole goddamn floor and stuff.
Yeah.
But
probably in crypto.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he was more. He came over to our table.
Yeah.
And he just wanted to hang out with us, and he was just so excited to see us. And I'm looking at this cat, man.
That vibrational frequency.
Yeah. He had everybody at his beck and call.
Yeah.
But he wanted to hang out with us. And it showed me, his humility. And what he had, right? But it also inspired me because he was very successful.
Yeah.
And after that, got back from that trip, I said, you know what? I'm gonna put some pressure on myself. Some pressure that I've never had. I'm gonna put myself in deep water.
I love that.
You know what I mean? And I'm gonna hustle. I can trust myself. What I started doing is I did my math. I started looking at other things that I was wasting money on.
You have to. I'm in finance, so I'm
Yeah.
all about categorizing your expenses, and I don't believe in budgeting at all. Spend, have fun, but it's how you spend.
It's how you spend.
Gotta be smart,
so I said, you know what? All the stuff that I'm spending on this, I said, you know what? I'm going to put it on this.
Yeah.
Because that was my dream. The point is, I put the pressure on myself. I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to risk all this other stuff that I was doing. And I'm going to put it on my dream. What I had to do, I had to realize that I couldn't stay in that safe haven because the lifestyle that I wanted wasn't going to suffice with that safe money that I was getting.
Yeah.
So I said I'm going to take a quantum leap. And I said I'm going to take this contract. But the contract required me full time on it, so I could not do both.
Okay.
Work for I couldn't do it part time.
Yeah.
So I had to make a decision. If I do this contract, that's it. There's no going back.
Right.
Took that contract. And I quit my job.
Yeah.
I resigned, and my company was begging me to stay at the job. And I took the job. And I tell you, once I took that contract, it just opened doors to other opportunities. All money is not good money.
Right.
I want to, what I mean by that is I had opportunities to do things that were outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Or didn't meet my
That's where we go back to alignment. Yeah.
Yes, that wasn't aligned with my goals.
Exactly.
And things I want. Remember I told you,
Yeah.
passion. I have to have a passion for it that has to give back. And I had to stand on that because you can get sidetracked very easy. And
Chasing the dollar bill.
Chasing a dollar bill. Getting wealthy doesn't mean you got to chase every dollar that comes at you.
Do you feel that entrepreneurship, everyone's built for entrepreneurship? Because the way the world is and the wave and what social media portray entrepreneurship, they, a solopreneur is not an entrepreneur. They make it seem like it's attainable and it's the cool thing to do. I'm a firm believer that, this life is not for everybody.
No, it's not.
People can be great leaders and people can be great people to support the leaders as well. And there are people that are quitting their jobs, getting into massive debt, trying to start their business, and it leads to depression. Be great at whatever you do. You don't have to start a business.
I think you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody is not meant to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I'll use my mother as an example. My mother, has been working. She worked for the government for 40 years, and she had, even in her capacity she worked for the FBI. She had opportunities to be in leadership, to be to head up teams and stuff, but she didn't feel comfortable doing that. She wanted to be one of the foot soldiers to support the leaders. Define your criteria. What is it going to take to inspire you? What drives you? Whether it's the passion for the work. The money is not going to always. It shouldn't be your only driver, because there's so many opportunities out here where you can get blind money. When you think you want to get money, you're going to get
right. See that someone's making money in it, they think they can do it. And I always advise against that when I deal with my clients in finance. I talk about them. I have an investment scorecard. Everything has to be aligned with your purpose, your end goal, right? It may not be entrepreneurship to reach your end goal. It may be certain investments. I'm able to purchase property, 50 acres, build a massive resort, buy it in cash, mortgage free, like with my eyes closed, only because of the discipline that I applied into my everyday life. But everyone don't have that discipline. I believe my generation probably was the first generation that was able to walk into the bank and open up our own bank accounts. My parents wasn't able to do that. Your parents wasn't able to do that. They didn't know a lot of things and they made things happen. It's about applying those tools and utilizing them the right way because they're here, but we don't know how to use them.
There are a lot of people who think, they look at the first opportunity where they see that they can get dollar signs. And I'm really talking to the people who don't have a vision of what they want. They don't have an outlook.
Right, they just want that money. They quick money.
Right, because it could be because of their circumstance, whether their environment, and they don't have the luxury of the education, of platforms that certain people may have, and so their mentality is, whatever I need to do to get money, I'm going to find that. There's no textbook model of how you can get money.
Right.
My method may not work for you. It may not work for somebody, the next person. But it's about education. I was actually I was requested to speak I'm a member of the National Society of Black Engineers. They were reaching out to the members and say, hey, can you talk to the students about the importance of going to college, and they wanted all of us to speak to our experience about how successful we were, for going to college and so on, right?
Yeah.
And so the president of the Lesnar wrote me and asked me would I speak.
Yeah, I love that.
And I said, you know what? I said, and I wrote her back. I said, I absolutely would love to speak to the students. I said, however, I need to inform you that I didn't go to college. I wrote her back and I told her that I can't speak to going to college because I didn't go to college, and I told her I would. I said, however, I can speak to people's and tell you my story of how I came successful and become an entrepreneur through the route I took, and I can tell them what I went through, and that perhaps college can help them not take the steps that I took. Within 5 minutes, she wrote me back and she said, "You are the perfect person to speak to our students.
Wow, I love that. Like, I really love that. Like,
she was just like, when can you start? She was so excited. All of these students don't have the grades or the money.
Or even the mindset, remember, because they're coming from, you never know. We're in D.C. They, coming from, parents prostituting. It's a very traumatizing environment. Who can operate in that? It takes a very special person. And I want everyone to know that, this is D.C. to me. You know what I mean? This is D.C. Like, I move in silence. And I only do things purposely and things that matters. That's my life. That's what I'm made of. People may see me as glamorous, this, that, and the third, but I make a lot of noise in silence and behind the scenes, and I know I hold a lot of power. I want to showcase the men, in D.C. that came out, like my dad, like Dee, that came out of very adverse situations, but their mind is very powerful, because it's not an easy thing to do. The thing is, with traumas, right, that we experience, we are attached to them, and they show up in every aspect of our life. It could be 10 years down the line. It could be in our relationships. It could be on how we spend and how we nurture, our money and building wealth for ourselves and our families. It shows up. Even if you're out of that situation, it shows up. That's why the spiritual aspect, the alignment aspect of what you're doing and how you're moving, all of it is so important and so purposeful. And what I want people to take away from our conversation is, we don't chase, we're attracting, okay?
I lost a lot of friends because of, I call it ignorance, I had friends that didn't want to hang out with me because they thought I was too good. I was too, I had reached a stratosphere that they
can't imagine it for themselves. They can't see it for themselves.
They call it the word today, but they decided they didn't want to hang out. At first, I got upset. Like, I started doing everything to say, hey, I'm the same cat, man, that that you knew before I got this, but it didn't matter. We're not athletes. We're not rappers. But we hustle. And we came from the same, some of us came from the same environment that you came from. So we want to be able to show them that, yes, you can be successful. Yes, you can be an entrepreneur. Yes, you can make money. And you don't have to have an affluent life.
Dee, this was so amazing. I had such a great conversation with you. I mean, you were dropping gems. We spend fire. It's always fire with us. And I appreciate everyone for watching this. Like, it's all about sharing these stories and really, my whole goal is connecting, having a connection and really see yourselves through the stories that we're telling. And like it's 88, it's a movement. If anyone want to check you out, let them know where to find you.
You can reach me on my Instagram page, like it's 88 birthday gala. That's my private page. So look it up. See your girl Kristyl. If you can't find it, she can help you with it. But like it's 88 birthday gala on Instagram.
Yes, it's exclusive over here. So remember, if you can't get into the page, we are taking applications. Make sure you have your mind right. Stay blessed.